All right, welcome back to the Beast Game Podcast. This is a review for The Mountain Between Us. It's directed by Hani Abu Assad. The writer is J. Mills Goodlow, and it's based off a book by Charles Martin. It stars Idris Elba, Kate Winslet, and Beau Bridges. And the synopsis is, stranded after a tragic plane crash, two strangers must forge a connection to survive the extreme elements of a remote snow-covered mountain. Keith, what did you think of The Mountain Between Us?
Survival / love story. Idris Elba plays sort of a straight-laced surgeon, and Kate Winslet is a very reactionary or fly by the seat of her pants photojournalist. There's a snowstorm that grounds a bunch of flights. The two of them decide to charter a small plane to fly to Denver. The pilot of the plane, played by Beau Bridges, he ends up having a stroke while flying the plane. Pretty good scene. Basically, the scene plays out facing into the plane from the cockpit looking back, goes through the phases of the stroke and everything. Idris Elba tries to help him, and as he's trying to help him and it's kind of panicking, the plane kind of breaks up and crashes around him. And that's how the dog that's there is Beau Bridges' dog, the pilot's dog. So after he kind of collapses and everything and the plane breaks up, there's no real time for like the normal type of trope where someone just takes in with a plane and tries to fly. It's basically because they're flying over the mountains, they kind of lose control and they're trying to do two things at once and not able to do anything. It's kind of pretty chaotic. It's a pretty good scene. Once it crashes, Idris Elba's character, who's a doctor, has to kind of work on the immediate survival aspects of things to kind of help Kate Winslet's character out, who's unconscious, and secure the plane enough so that they don't freeze to death.
So this is not The Grey.
And it is not The Grey. What actually is much in the Grey's angle. If you like survival movies in the Grey's fashion,
Castaway,
enough
maybe.
of that. It's enough of that. Both characters have two different approaches to it. Idris Elba wants to take the more reserved approach. Wait by the plane, he kind of takes a logical approach. And Kate Winslet's character, she's going by pure instinct. And her instincts are telling her they've got to move because no one's ever going to find them. And Idris Elba is kind of like, well, we wait by the plane, shore up, save our food, we'll be okay. They'll come by. And that's the best way. Within the phases of the movie, he admits to her that every logical sense, everything that tells them that they're going to die up there. So she's kind of the driving force pushing them to survive. And he's the one that makes the kind of the technical and the physical aspects because she's injured. He's the one kind of moving forward and like trying to make her drive happen in the best way possible. So the two play out pretty well, and they've got pretty good chemistry. So it works out for the most part. It looks like it's Colorado. I'm not sure where it is, but it's definitely the Rockies, and it's got a lot of beautiful set pieces and scenery pieces. And I didn't realize the mountains were that high up and everything, but the cinematography is outstanding. I thought it was pretty good. I think the only thing that this movie kind of falls flat on is the romance angle. Almost felt forced.
So I know it's based off of a book, so there's a little bit of leeway that books have for fleshing out a story or development.
Right. And especially with a book, you can actually have this internal dialogue. It doesn't have to actually be dialogue, but you get more of the feelings. And this one, in the movie, you go by their intuition and their feeling and by what they express on the camera. Idris and Kate Winslet are good actors, so they make it work for the most part. But I think them trying to survive together and their characters coming together and stuff, that worked. But the overall romantic angle, the romance angle, there's like a piece towards the end of the movie where you had this moment of will they get together, will they or won't they type of thing. Kind of forced at that point. It's one of those things where it feels Hollywoody, put it that way. Like the purely survival aspects of them getting off that mountain and using their wits to survive and that kind of that drive, and those two opposites working together, that I thought worked a lot better than the romance angle.
What are your wrap-up thoughts, and what score would you give?
I thought it was a good film. Not of the same caliber as The Grey. And this one is sort of like giving a couple who are at odds at times. And at one point, Kate Winslet wants to do one thing, and she's like, I'm going to do it anyway. And you just think to yourself, oh my God, are you kidding me? You've got to deal with this when you're about to die. In the end, certain parts, it turns out he's right, or it turns out that she's right. That type of thing kind of fits in. In The Grey, you didn't have that. The fact they're alone up there in this frozen wilderness with nothing to survive is probably the only thing that bridges them. And it can get pretty graphic at times with certain things. There's a scene with this in this movie with a mountain lion. It's unbelievable, but the romance angle kind of spoils some of the bits of it. Kind of fell into that Hollywood trap. That neat wrap up that can kind of spoil a movie in a case, kind of feel good, but at the same time, it's like, you can take it or leave it.
All right. So that's the Beast Game Podcast. You can find more of our podcasts at beastgame.com, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.